Hello, it's Simone. I'm still in my Summer of Bottles experiment project, and over the past 2 weeks I inked up 6 pens, 3 in the first, 3 in the second week. And before I unink them and put them to the side, I thought I would film a standalone video, tell you what pen these are, what pens these are, what they're inked with, and my experience with them so far. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. I have 2 Waterman Carenes inked. One is cobalt blue. This one is the Deluxe model in blue. Both of them have fine nibs. This is the Lamy LX Marron with a 14 karat gold medium nib. This one is my newest addition to my pen collection, is the Bonecrusher 7 Studios Velma. Then I have a Gravitas Pocket pen in Delrin with the Franklin Christoph medium sig nib and the Lamy 2000 with a fine nib. All right. I was greatly inspired by Brittany from Carrots and Olives, who used her water brush to dilute something, the ink. I tried it here. I don't know if Cosmo Air Light paper is as well equipped to be able to do that, but I wanted to try it. And so that's what we're gonna do. I want to quickly, I don't know if you can see this, but I stamped this like 5 minutes ago and there's still wetness here. So what I'm going to do is use this paper towel and just see if I can, see, there's still ink left. I have used stamps from Everyday Explorers Co. I think it's their currently inked stamp set, but do not quote me on that. So I'm just gonna go in the order that I have inked them up. The first 3 were from week 29, July 14th to July 20th. And so I don't really know what the color of this model is called. There's something wrong. What is the color that's in here? Oh, I tried this yesterday and I think I might have picked up some platinum carbon black. Okay, let's try this and see how it goes. So now I want to use my water brush and just move this over here. See if that works. Yep, I like how this is turning out. For sure. All right, so this is the Waterman Carene, and I called it cobalt blue. With a fine 18 karat gold nib. The ink that's in here is Troublemaker, Hanging Rice. So I think this is not a super wet ink, but it is wet enough to work in this pen. I really did not expect to like writing with the Waterman Carene as much as I do. The nib, I can't really compare this nib to anything I have written with. It feels stiff. but not the same stiffness as, for instance, the Platinum 3776 Century models. The nib width is definitely not comparable to Japanese fine nibs. This is more like Western fine. I love that it's so stiff, but not, you know, it's not like writing with a nail. It still feels good in the hand. And what it made me, what I loved was that the lines were still super precise. So I enjoyed this more than I expected. I was able to write small without feeling constricted. That's, I think, what the biggest surprise about this pen is. I wanted to show you the lines too, so I'm just going to add those here. Downstrokes, side strokes, upstrokes, and left side strokes. Upstrokes are drier. That happens with almost all of the fountain pens. I feel like most of the time downstrokes and left to right are pretty wet, but the other way around is a little bit drier. This is still okay, in my opinion. But yeah, so this was my first pen. Every time I use this, I'm super surprised at how much I love this. And Peggy, if you're watching this, absolutely sold. This is, as I said, the Lamy LX in Maroon. I have put a 14 karat gold medium nib on this, and it is inked with Sailor Shikiori. Oh, I need to get the green off this nib, this tip. Sailor Shikiori Yuki Akari. I used a sample of this ink last year in my Benu Euphoria Jazz with a fine nib, and I loved the writing experience with this. And so I purchased a bottle, and this time around when I inked this in a pen, I wanted to make sure that Lamy LX Maroon with a medium 14 karat gold nib. I wanted to make sure that I would have a wet enough pen to write with. And this pen and ink combination did not disappoint. Kiori Yuki Akari. This nib, if you've seen me do downstrokes, well, first of all, these are two different nib sizes. You can clearly see that in the writing. But if you've seen how I did downstrokes here, the nib did not budge much. This little teeny tiny nib is so bouncy and so springy, and I don't know how they do it. Why these are so bouncy and springy. As you can see, they are almost equally wet in all different directions. There's a little dryness down here, but that's what makes this ink so shady. I enjoyed this. It's light shading, but still legible. And this is if you see how this writes, how much ink flows, this is the wetness that I enjoy. I wish this was a tiny bit wetter. I haven't had many inks in this pen as of yet. This is the first inking, so I will definitely try something that is wetter, because this is basically the driest that I enjoy writing with inks. You will see later on a pen where I would say that the ink is too wet for the pen. It's almost too much. This is, as I said, the Bonecrusher 7 Studios Velma. And the craftsmanship on this pen is just outstanding, and it makes me want to go. Well, so I need to do this so that makers don't feel like I'm judging them, even though I might, deep down I might. But I want to go now to every table at the San Francisco Pen Show and look at the pens that are offered. Just because that is so fascinating to see. It's basically like, what shapes do they choose? How are they polishing their pens? How are their threads? I wish I could ask and talk to the pen makers without them feeling like, hey, why is this so rough? Or how did you decide that this is what you focus on? Basically, if you have good questions or suggestions on how I can ask this without coming across like I'm the most judgmental bee on the planet, then I would love to hear. So this is the Bonecrusher. I purchased this with an extra fine nib, 7 Studios Velma in Vibes. And this has a fine nib. I took the fine nib that I received on my Walltown What's. It's a Jowo compatible pen, so that is totally doable. Just unscrew the nib unit and screw the other one back in. I thought I wouldn't like the extra fine nib on the, I just wanted one, so I had an extra fine Jowo, but this is what it looks like. And it's really wet and smooth, and I actually could see myself using this. This is, the ink is Robert Oster. Warm Kitty, soft kitty, warm kitty. Let's see if soft kitty, warm kitty. The ink in this pen nib flows well as well. Wow, flows well as well. As you can see here, this is basically wet in all directions, which I really like. The pen is super comfortable. And I love the ink. It's one of those Robert Oster ink bottles that came in the Comfort Cozy set that I actually really enjoy and am not thinking of giving away. And I really love the ink. And that's all there is to say to this. So I really am looking forward to using this. Then the week, what is that week number? Not that it matters, but it matters to me. Week 30, July 21st to July 28th, I inked up this pen, the Gravitas Pocket Delrin model. No, wrong. Pocket model in the Delrin material. This ink is just, I had totally forgotten how much I love this ink. It is Diamine Raspberry Rose from the Red Ink Vent. I received this in a mystery ink box from Atlas Stationers in July 2023, and I guess I haven't used it enough. That's why I believe I need to use my ink bottles more. As an aside, this was a question of the day in my Discord server this past week. Do you prefer bottles or samples? And tell me why. If you had asked me this question a year ago, I would have said absolutely samples. I have changed my mind now. I am going with bottles. And if you're interested to know why, I will definitely figure out if I can film a video where I talk about this without just looking at the camera and not doing anything. So this is the Gravitas Pocket, and no, wrong. Let's just do this. Delrin, and the nib is Sig Medium, and this is from Franklin Christoph. The ink is Diamine Raspberry Rose. As you can see, the ink must have darkened quite a bit since I last wrote with it, because you can see this is what it looks like after writing a line. So downstrokes, side strokes, upstrokes, side strokes, and let's do the figure eights. I guess I'm doing the figure eights after. This is the more natural thing. This ink is a hidden gem. I have thought about, when I put this in the pen, I thought, I actually think I like this more than Writer's Blood. It's just that smidgen lighter. Well, if it's dried in the pen, it almost looks exactly like Writer's Blood. Yeah, this would be the replacement ink for Writer's Blood for me, actually. This ink is a hidden gem. Quickly becoming a favorite. I love this nib and pen pairing. I need to definitely watch the evaporating water for sure, because that's my number one fountain pen pet peeve. My friend did not send me one Waterman Carene, but two. This is the Waterman Carene Deluxe in blue. I really like the gold and silver mix of hardware. It's weird. And I inked this with a, as I had thought, fairly wet ink. It's Pilot Iroshizuku Tsuki-yo. However, I really am, I'm telling you my deep, darkest secrets. I really want to keep both of those Waterman Carenes. My friend offered to sell them to me. So, Waterman Carene Deluxe in blue with a fine 18 karat gold nib. The ink is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsuki-yo. Downstrokes, side strokes, upstrokes, side strokes, figure 8. This is a wet ink and the pen struggles to write with this really wet ink. And so I am considering getting this pen tuned at the San Francisco Pen Show for it to write wetter, because I am just so in love with Waterman Carenes right now that I could see myself using this all the time. And I'm going to comp this to the next pen that I have inked. So this pen or nib needs some tuning. It seems to starve and just not have enough flow. Yeah, that's all I have to say to this. What I want to do, I mean, I don't assume that this pen has dried ink in the feed or anything. I can't take this pen apart, so I want to soak it in some pen flush and see if maybe that will already help. But if I can't find that this is getting better, I will definitely take it with me and get it tuned to write wetter. So the last pen that I had inked in that 2-week period is the Lamy 2000 with a fine 14 karat gold nib. I really like posting this nib, and that's why I said I feel like these compare really well in size and shape. They're both, I mean, this one has flat tops, but they're both kind of torpedo shaped. And when I hold them, because there is no designated grip section in both pens, they feel similar. I have the feeling that this tapers down further, so it's getting slimmer quicker than this. And when I write with this after this, I am thinking, so I'm not like dissing the Lamy 2000, but I am actually thinking the Carene is a tiny bit more comfortable than the Lamy 2000. And then especially with this ink in it, it's a gusher for sure. And I really struggle with enjoying this pen and ink combo. And that's coming from someone who actually really likes wet writing pens or nibs. There seems to be an upper limit to that as well. I really like how this is turning out, this stamping on top of each other here. Yep, I will definitely do this again. Post. I really need this posted. It feels more balanced when it's posted. Okay, so Lamy, see what I'm talking about? Like, what the heck? Lamy 2000 black. Oh, now I know why this felt off. It needs to be capitalized. Black. MAC. Roll on. And this is a fine 14 karat nib. The ink is Teranishi. Can you see the difference? How much I struggle with writing small with this pen? Guitar, gentle green. This definitely needs a drier nib. I didn't think this was such a wet ink, but obviously it is. As you can see, there is no difference in upstrokes, downstrokes, and side strokes. This is such a disappointment. In the other direction, the ink is too wet. Alrighty, so that was it. I really, really love having less pens inked at a time. I'm using 3 in my, I'm using them more in my creative journal, which is a lot of fun. I am also using them to write letters. And I really always love how these pen and ink combinations look with each other. Like, this is such a nice, you know, limited palette. This is such a nice limited palette, but all 6 of them also look nice. Yeah. Let me know in the comments below if you like bottles or inks more, and if you would like to hear why I prefer bottles at the moment, then leave a comment as well, and I can figure out a video format where I can talk about this. Maybe I'll talk about this in my snippets from my desk videos, because that is more open. Okay, I will see you soon. Until then, bye.